Welcome back, folks. I really don't have a clue what to talk about today because, well, I don't know. I get lots of good ideas, but I don't know. They just kind of disappear on me, and then, well, nobody's making requests lately. Well, occasionally I get one, but there haven't been a lot of current events around here to inspire videos other than, well, a very unfortunate one that, well, we found a horse dead this morning. So, I thought, what the heck, we'll talk about that one too. Since you guys aren't doing your job and making requests, or at the very least liking and commenting on my videos, that would be actually very helpful in encouraging further people to find my videos, because the way the YouTube thingy works is that they don't hook you up with videos unless they've already had significant numbers of comments and likes on them. So you have to like and comment on my videos so that somebody else gets to see it. It's kind of how it works. And I don't know, there's some really weird stuff going on at YouTube too, because initially my number of views dropped considerably because, well, I just figured that everybody's did, and it was that they were counting the views differently. So I didn't get too concerned about that. But since then, my views have also, again, dropped at about half of what they used to. And some of them are just ridiculously low numbers now. And I don't know if they're hiding them or what's happening for other people that are viewing them or trying to view them. You know, like I said, I mentioned in another video, there's this thing called shadow banning where your subscribers don't actually get notifications of your videos. So, you know, I encourage you to individually share my videos on your Facebook, your Instagram, your whatever, your social media thingy, or in emails or whatever. Share a link to my channel, anything to get them out, because I don't know what's going on, because not only have recently my views have been going down, but so was my watch time hours. And you know, before when my views first went down, my watch time was still going up. So I didn't really care, because it meant people were still actually watching. But now the watch time hours is going down as well, and the views are going down even more. I'm getting a little bit concerned, so maybe you can help me out in that department and make some comments on my videos and like them, and that'll help other people get to see them. And well, now that we've done our whining about our YouTube videos, let's get on to the subject of today. Well, I don't know what it actually is, but we'll talk about what happened recently. And well, woke up this morning to a dead horse, which in a way didn't terribly surprise me. And I've mentioned this sort of I did another video on buying a horse, and it's you know, I had my suspicions when that horse first arrived here. It did not quite look like it should, and I kind of suspected that the people selling it actually knew there was something wrong with that horse, and they were selling a sick horse just to get rid of it. And you know, that stuff happens. And you know, and this is, you know, I've said this in one of my previous videos about buying the horses. You know, spend the money on a vet check. Have a vet come out, do a blood test, do a physical look over, and all that stuff. Might cost you a couple $100, but you know, if you're spending a few thousand on the horse, well, you know, it might, you know, if it's going to drop dead. In the case of this one, the poor girl that owned it, I think she's only had it for not even 6 months. And so I don't know what she paid for that one, but she just lost it all. So whatever the purchase price is of the horse, a couple $100 for a vet check might save you that much money. It might save you the purchase price of the horse. And, you know, maybe if you have access to more than one vet in your area, maybe have more than one, because one might see something the other one does not see. I've mentioned that before as well. And this is the kind of thing that you got to be careful with when it comes to buying a horse. Is, people in the horse world are not always terribly honest, unfortunately, as much as you'd like to think so. I'm sure this is going to leave a real bad taste in her mouth, because this young lady, this was her first horse. And, and when I say young lady, I mean like she just, it was her, she got her first job without her parents even knowing it, saved up her money, bought this horse, and the thing died. And that's very, very unfortunate, because the young lady, she worked hard for her money. She bought the horse with her own money. Mom and Dad didn't buy it for her. She bought it herself, and all this stuff. And and I thought that was very commendable, respectable. I don't know. I liked it, whatever. But so it's really sad that her first experience with owning a horse is such short-lived and unfortunately ended the way it did. So, but that's one of those things. That's the reality of owning a horse. And I can remember a while back, there was a few of us in the barn, and we were talking about a variety of incidents that had happened. And it's like, why didn't anybody ever warn us that owning a horse was going to be like this? It's not all roses and fluffy kittens and butterflies and all this good stuff. No, horses are not always, sometimes there's a lot of heartache involved, and a lot of financial stress, a lot of time. It's not always this, movie ideal, lovey-dovey, Black Beauty or whatever movie you've watched with a horse in it, that the person had this wonderful relationship with their horse. And it's like, it doesn't always work out that way. And they also didn't show you the rest of the picture, because they didn't show you how many times that person had to clean up after that horse, how many times they had to phone the vet, how many times they had to get up and go dress wounds and all kinds of stuff like that. There's just all this stuff that nobody ever talks about. It's not butterflies and fluffy kittens. Owning a horse, the reality of owning a horse is that, things happen. Unfortunately, things happen. And sometimes those things aren't very nice, and they can cost you a lot of money, they can cost you a lot of grief. But, that's what you're getting into. If you don't already own a horse, you should realize that this is what you're getting into if you choose to buy one. And for those of you that already have a horse, take heed. This is what you got to look forward to. Now, not everybody. There's some people that they can own a horse its entire life and never spend a penny on it, never have a problem, they never have a day of sickness. But I can assure you that's an exception to the rule. Quite a few people, I mean, there's lots of horses out here that have been here for many years that have had relatively few problems. Some of them none at all. Even my own horses, I mean, quite honestly, for the number of years that I've had most of them, and I've got 4, I really haven't had a whole lot of trouble. Honestly, if a vet had to make a living off of my calls, they wouldn't be doing very well, I'm afraid. So I have to admit I have done fairly well. So the fact that I now have to give daily meds to one for the rest of her life, I can't really whine too much about that. And yeah, I have been doing that. There's the oral syringe there. I just finished giving her meds. And but that's the kind of stuff that, if you get a horse, you might have to deal with. You might have to contend with giving them the meds, dressing the wounds, calling the vets, calling the farriers, maybe calling the guy with the excavator to bury it, worst case scenario. Because this stuff is reality. It can happen, and at any given time, well, I mean, I got one that's 27 years old. She could drop dead any day right now. I mean, she'd been with me long enough, and I did get her for free. She was given to me. So it's not like, I'm going to have this traumatic experience of losing a horse I just bought. No, I've had her for a while, and I fully expect that someday she's not going to be with me anymore. And that's gonna be a sad day, I can tell you too, because that little horse taught me a lot. And I'm very grateful that I've had that little horse too. But, the reality is this stuff is going to happen. The reality of horse ownership is you're going to watch them die. I know that doesn't sound very nice, but it's the truth. If unless you're one of those unscrupulous people that pawn your problems off on somebody else, you're going to watch that horse die. And it's going to be a sad day, I'm afraid. And, well, worse yet, you might even have to make the decision of when it dies. And I'm not looking for, I sure hope I don't have to do that one, because there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to say, no, you shouldn't have done it. And hey, that's a tough enough decision as it is. Don't second guess it. If somebody else has to make that decision to have a horse put down, don't ever say a word about it. Don't ever criticize their decision, because it is not an easy decision to make. And I haven't had to make it yet. Honestly, I've been very, very lucky that way. I have never had to make that decision, but I know lots of people that have, and most of them have been criticized for it too. And it's like, I don't think that's fair, because it's a tough decision to make in the first place. Don't give somebody a hard time about it. If they got to make that decision, they got to make that decision. And don't question it. It's over. It's done. Could they somehow have made that horse's life worth living for a few more years? Well, it doesn't matter now. The horse is gone. So it's really a totally after the fact thing. Don't give them a hard time. But if you ever have to make that choice, well, reality is there's probably somebody out there that's going to give you a hard time about it, and I'm sorry for you. But reality is this is what it's going to be like owning a horse. It's not all butterflies and kittens and roses and whatever, all this nice warm fuzzy stuff that people think it is. Well, there is some of that. There is some of that, but that's not all there is. There could be some hard times, heartaches, and tough decisions to make. And, well, I guess you need to realize that if you've already got a horse, someday you might have to make one of those tough decisions, or one of these days you might end up enduring some of those tough times. If you haven't got a horse yet, well, just be forewarned that this is what you might have to deal with. Because like I said, got up today and there was a dead horse. And at this moment, we still don't know why. That's coming out later today to do an autopsy and determine cause of death, because he wasn't old. I'm not sure exactly how old he was, but there was obviously some health problems. He was losing and gaining and losing weight, and we're not sure what was wrong with him, but there was definitely some problems, and then he failed to thrive. So the vet is going to come out, and we're going to determine exactly what happened, and hopefully we can prevent it from happening to another horse. So that's the only good side, is that maybe in his death, he'll give life to another. Well, that's the way it goes. So if you got a horse or thinking about getting a horse, just remember, this is what you're in for. It's not always a good time, but I think it's worth it. Builds character. Yeah. Have a good day.